Hello everyone, my name is Slade Gaming Genie, and today we talk about Fortnite, a title we can all agree is household. A name you may know for better or worse, and undeniably, a majority see as better. A struggle for some, a career for others. The game has a divisive fan base, and a rather interesting start. So today that's what we're looking at. All the way back in 2011, when development stages of Fortnite began, to the current day, 2024. So, leave a like and let's talk about how Fortnite came to be. So back in 2011, Epic began a game jam to throw ideas around the office, and while Fortnite wasn't a result of the game jam, the enjoyment the team found in the development process of that event is what led to the developers in the Epic talent team talking about the concept of a building game. So, back in August 2011, Roger Collum, the producer of Fortnite, is put on a team with the idea of a building game inspired by Minecraft and Terraria. The development even initially had farming, assuming it took a majority of inspiration from these hard hitters in the less tense industry. This was purely a passion project designed for fun, which was a clear factor in the development cycle of the game. During the early days of development, working in Unreal Engine 3, Epic developers were playtesting concepts via creating rudimentary environments by flipping already existing assets from Gears of War and utilizing established mechanics to develop more intricate and experimental concepts to the premise. So, where did that campy, iconic style that the game has come from? If, originally, they used these dark, overtly realistic graphics and objects? Well, we have the answer to that, via Pete Ellis, the art director at Epic on the project. The game was originally a darker tone like Resident Evil in the vein of realism for graphics. Eventually, the team chose to go in a more cartoony, timeless-inspired art style, something that could be tweaked and held onto, rather than aiming for hyper-realism that would eventually be outdated. It was a longevity choice as well as a time saver, and personally, the right call. We've been referring to it simply as building game or the project here, and that's for good reason. The name of the game wasn't decided in a boardroom or even in a poll. According to the development team members and Roger Collum, the name was entirely incidental, being tossed about by an email thread between team members, and it stuck. Fortnite was unveiled in 2011 at the VGAs on Spike TV. I am actively dating myself by mentioning that I saw this expo in person, live on TV. The game, a rough draft by this point at best, was almost nothing like you may recognize it today. Though, reception to that trailer was received less than admirably at the awards, although I would say that this is specifically because gamers were expecting the next Gears of War, next heart-wrenching chainsaw gun-wielding adventure, but this was toony, zany, and chaotic with no cohesion of the typical Epic style. An adventurous choice, one that was a gamble, one that eventually paid off in the long run, definitely. Going as far as to completely throw the idea of a realistic game out the window, the process began with talks about how to make aspects of the game more absurd and off the wall, with like rocket hammers, laser axes, and a more fantasy sci-fi action feel. Taking teams specifically to develop this new form of destruction and interaction with the game, they faced technological struggles in expanding on these ideas. Limitations on technology and resources available at the time would prove to be the real struggle, a headache if ever there was one. But for a game that was supposed to be quick and fun, it ended up spanning a development cycle of nearly 10 years and is still being updated and maintained to this day, albeit in a completely different style than what was initially planned. With the engine upweight to Unreal Engine 4, Epic found its real first hitch with Fortnite. Working on the concept of the Horde mode from the Gears of War games and bringing developers from the MMO scene of gaming with Darren Shug as the lead designer, a dev from the MMO scene himself, he was assisting the process of turning the game into a much more in-depth, cohesive game with a wide array of playability, with a community that can interact with itself. It's about here that I personally believe the idea for Battle Royale was tossed about, even if it was just watercooler talk in the office. It was around this time in October of 2012 that Cliff Bleszinski, the former game development director, left the company, causing a rather interesting change to the workforce. Considering he'd been with the company since before 1998 by that point, working on Gears of War, Unreal Tournament, Dare to Dream, and Bulletstorm, rightfully so. People were skeptical to such a big name leaving the project and the company. But it was simply because he'd been working on games for most of his life and wanted a break. GigaChat. Originally, he wanted to retire, but he's since come back to work on a few projects which aren't the topic of this particular video. But there was also pressure from investor Tencent, who took ownership of roughly 40% of the company for financial backing regarding this new project. And as we all know, investors are not kind with time. Luckily for Epic, all this meant was earning their keep, which they'd been doing for decades already. With a very unique approach to project management, Epic allows devs to sort of like choose the project they desire to work with. Many choose Fortnite, hiring team members from EGS, the Seattle offices, as well as the Warsaw, Poland team to help with AI development. At this time, they had around 110 employees dedicated to just the Fortnite project, holding an event in Raleigh in 2013 to showcase the game as they continue to work on and refine its unique style. The entire development team put a lot of passion and love into the game. It seemed that the project was a ground-up passion project that Epic took to heart, embracing the innovation despite the skepticism back in 2011. So why did it take until 2017 to release Save the World? Well, to put that in a single term, development. The game launched when Epic was happy with it being marketed to the public. No big scandal or secret to be found. The game simply waited until it felt ready, garnering interactions on the internet and the online community via influencers such as Investigaming and his respective communities, launching videos when the game's beta released all the way back in July of 2017. So then, where did Battle Royale come from? Ironically, it didn't come into play until much later in the development process, originally simply a spin-off mode to offer more choice and variety to the players who like Save the World. But with the vast popularity received by this mode, Epic decided to pool resources into improvements of this mode, and by 2018, the game was already holding a player count of around 125 million. It's no surprise that garnering that kind of support would leave Save the World looking for a savior. I'll show myself out. Anyways, Fortnite stayed in paid early access until June of 2020, where it became officially available to the public, launching on Windows, macOS, PS4, Xbox One, and later for the Android, iOS, and Switch, with versions coming to modern consoles even farther down the line. Teams were moved, support was redistributed, and eventually Save the World was left in a state of decay. And there really isn't much else to say. Save the World underperformed Battle Royale, and not by an insignificant margin. The game bolstered record-breaking player counts, and, with the introduction of its cosmetic marketing, it outsold the game despite being a free-to-play aspect of the original story-centric and cooperative game mode. Ironically, sources could be found stating that Fortnite only included the Battle Royale game mode as a way to compete with H1Z1 and PUBG, games which at the time were dominating the Battle Royale market, which was relatively new and severely undersaturated compared to today's market. Nowadays, Fortnite has an expansive history, player base, accessibility, and even a competitive scene, as well as a massive market for a variety of ages and all types of gamers. Creativity and freedom of Fortnite has always been a key aspect of the game, and despite Save the World being the original intent, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who worked on the game upset at the progress. The idea of the game is still creativity and fun, and the survival aspect of the game, while not exactly prominent, is still present and accessible. Through hardships and dilemma, it appears Fortnite is here to stay for a long time. With some of the biggest crossovers in gaming history to date, and still bolstering staggering active player counts across all platforms, the game has certainly maintained a following the world over. There's really something for everyone. Love or hate the game, it's impossible to deny the company's success and clear passion for the project. As many of the development team would say, Fortnite has been a zeitgeist, present all along, just waiting to happen. And so it happened to be Epic that began its journey to realizing this often visited, overlooked idea. Truthfully, there's still so much more to talk about regarding the development and lost ideas in this project. It just seemed disingenuous to cram every single aspect of Fortnite's tenure into a single dive. So, I'll more than likely do more content on the development cycle of Fortnite, and probably a dedicated video to each game mode. As for the lore and story of the game, that's not usually my thing, but if this video gets 1,000 likes, I'll do a massive lore video on the entire history of Fortnite from the very beginning. But with that being said, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch me yap about this for roughly 8.5 minutes. What do you think about Fortnite? Do you love it or hate it? Do you have a favorite game mode? Do you think it's better or worse than when it launched? Let me know in the comments below. I've been Slade, you've been the audience, this has been Investigaming, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out!